Alrighty, guys. Welcome back. This is session 5 weeks in and still going strong. Really excited that this community is continuously growing. Lots of new faces here that I didn't see last time, so really happy about that. Before we get anything too deep, just want to say thank you again, guys. Like it's really awesome that you guys are able to make it out each week and share this experience with me. I know Zach has been a bit busy lately, so it's really just been me lately, but I really appreciate you guys being able to show up and kick ass with me. Um, a quick check-in before things kick off. How is everyone's doing? How's the job search treating you guys? How are some projects going? I know Haru's been building her team and things like that. So, what was that, Brendan? I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, I mean, there's a holiday weekend though, no barbecuing or anything. Yeah, market's a little dry right now, but it'll pick up. It'll pick up. But yeah, tonight's agenda is definitely going to be a full one. We've got six good segments, and then we're going to end with a little game. Like I said, this session is going to be pretty much a combination of all the ideas that have been being put into the ideas for meetings channel. So, it's this is right here goes to show that you guys aren't being unheard. I will be doing what you guys are wanting. It's not just me just doing what I want. So please keep making sure you're putting ideas in there so we can keep making these meetings about things we all want to learn. Oh yeah, near the end of the presentation, I have the way these typically go is I have a bit of a speech written out. So we're going to be covering some um, cybersecurity and things like that. Alrighty. All right, yeah. So we're just going to get right into it. Yeah, what we're covering today is cybersecurity and software engineering. That's going to be our main event, our deep dive. I know, Zaya, you were really wanting to go over tech interviews, doing a deep dive into that. So we'll do some things. And then, Haru, I know you mentioned recruiting, being recruited, freelancing advice, first meeting questions, and a game night. So, yeah, we're going to hit it all. Um, I'll try to get through the cybersecurity stuff as quickly as possible because I know this is going to be very fresh for a lot of us. You know, like I said, there'll be a mermaid sheet that I'll be dropping in the channel and things like that. And so, if there's any big questions, afterwards I can, we can review that as well. Um, so the first thing I want to address is the reputation this topic has right out the gate. A lot of people hear cybersecurity and they think it means hackers and hoodies, or this is a separate career path that has nothing to do with building web apps. And that's not what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're talking about security as software engineering skills. Because here's the truth, most vulnerabilities don't come from sophisticated attacks, they come from developers who think about security while they are writing the code. And that's us. That's our lane, and that's what this means. And that means this is actually in our control. So we're going to talk about where security lives in the stack. We already know, two slides. We already know that the MERN stack, every layer has a surface that can be exploited. Mongo, DB, misconfigured access, exposed collections, no SQL injection if you're not sanitizing inputs, um, express and node, unsanitized request bodies, verbose error messages that leak stack traces, outdated packages with known vulnerabilities. You have React on the front end, cross XSS attacks through something as innocent as looking as like dangerously set inner HTML, trusting data from the client that you should have been validating on the server. And then there's the off layer, weak JSON tokens, missing token, expiry, cores that's too permissive. We've built a lot of these in the WTWR News Explorer apps that we've been building out for Triple Ten. Those are real apps with real surfaces. It's that's not just scary. That's just just honest work. And knowing that that is just step one. So now I'm going to give us like four things that are actually actionable, not theoretical stuff that we can apply to our next project starting, even tonight if you wanted to. One, we have authentication versus authorization. Let's see. Oh, that's gonna be mine. Yeah, there we go. These get confused constantly, even by experienced devs. I know this was a lot of last session, but it still plays into tonight. Auth N, who you are you logged in? Auth N, what are you allowed to do? Do you have permission to touch this resource? Um, Breaking the boundary between these is called broken object level authorization, or BOLA. Um, it's it's been the number one API vulnerability uh, on the OWASAP top 10 for years, and it looks like this. User hits a route, changes the ID, the URL, and suddenly they're accessing another user's data because the backend never checked if the ID actually belonged to them. We've all written, require.params.id, and when you ask yourself, like, does your backend verify the ownership before it responds? Um, Two, input is always hostile. Nothing coming in from the client is always trustworthy. So not form fields, not query strings, not headers. Sanitize and validate everything on the server. Libraries like Joy and Celebrate. Um, we've used those in WTWR. Those aren't just nice to have. They're our first real defense against injection attacks. The third one would be HTTPS and environmental variables. Um, they're not just optional. Um, I still see repos on GitHub with API keys hard coded, like .env files belong in git ignore. Um, full stop. Right there. And if you're deploying anything, HTTPS is day one, not a future upgrade. So definitely wanting to make sure you get that in there right away. And the fourth one would be let's see, there we go. Fourth one would be dependency vulnerabilities. They can be sneaky. You install one package, that package pulls in 40 dependencies. One of those has a known CVE. Run npm audit on any project you've built right now, and you'll be able to see what comes back. The Log4Shell vulnerability in 2021 took down major companies, not because they installed something shady, but because it was buried 3 layers deep in their dependency tree. Um, so before we move on, has anyone ever caught a security issue in their own code or seen one, out on like a website that they were reviewing? Anything like that? Oh, geez. Did they ever tell you like what happened to it, or it just went down? Hello? Well, I haven't checked in like a week or so, but like when that new Avatar: The Last Airbender movie came out, The Legend of Aang or whatever. Apparently that was yeah, I guess some guy out in Singapore had hacked Paramount or some social media outlet and was able to pull the video, and they recovered it on his PC. But he was saying that like someone from Paramount had sent it to him, and he was just, I guess, trying to cover up his trail, I guess. But silly stuff like that. But I think they said he faces like up to like a $10,000 fine and like 5 years in prison or something like that. That was, I think that was the cover up. Like they found it on his PC. Like he downloaded it straight from their server. Like he hacked in, and I guess he was like a part of some known hacker group, I guess. And I guess he was just like one piece of the pie. Yeah, yeah. I wonder how he managed to buy. Because it doesn't sound like he bypassed Paramount's. It sounded like it was a company that they had sent probably the video to for like getting the hype up, or like like a news outlet or something. Um, but yeah, we'll move on into some tech interview stuff. Um, this one's a bit personal for a lot of us right now. I know that, so we're going to keep this one real. Tech interviews, they do have layers. There's the algorithm problem, the system design question, the behavioral stuff, and the living code. Where everything somehow disappears the second every someone is watching you type. Um, and we've all been there, someone hovering over your shoulder when you're just trying to play a video game. Like you swear that you're so good at the game and you have all these kills and can do all this damage, but then someone's hovering over your shoulder and it's like you just played the game for the first time. Um, you know, and I think getting confident is one of the biggest things out there. Something I learned from a previous career that transfers into just life and interviews is really just confidence. Sometimes I was managing businesses for people who were twice my age, and it's intimidating that you have their life in your hands. But when they come to you, you have to be confident and know what you're doing. Otherwise, they're going to be like, "Why are you handling my money?" And so, really believing in yourself and the skills and the things you've learned really can help you shine through in interviews in more ways than just one. It isn't just always about the code. Um, so, a couple things worth knowing. The whiteboard problem is testing our process, not just our answers. They want to see us like not only talk out loud, but say like, okay, I'm thinking about edge cases here, or I'd normally reach for a hash map for O1 lookup. Interviewers want to see how your brain works, not just whether you hit the right answer. And that's something that's absolutely true. When I had my interview for my internship, I forget what exactly he was having me like map out, but he was, my first question was, okay, well, what type of data structure would you like me to use? Like where would you like me to go with it? And then, okay, based off of that, would you like me to loop through this or would you like me to stack it? And he was like more impressed that I was asking these open-ended questions rather than just trying to answer the straight up problem. Um, so that's definitely a big one. Well, not just that, but like how your brain is working. Well, because it's for you for art, right? With if someone was doing like epoxy or something, I don't know too much about it, but there's a specific way that you would show them, right? But like based off the problem that you're having, if it's not cooling or drying properly, there's ways to look at it to solve that issue, or something's not adhering properly. What can you do to fix that, right? And so it's not just as simple as just pouring the glue. You have to make sure you're looking at all these little things, right? Yeah, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I remember you saying you like metaphors and things like that, so I'm trying to do what I can with the limited knowledge I have on art. Um, Another good one, behavioral questions are not filler. Like tell me about how about a time you disagreed with a teammate. That's not a warm up, that's a cultural signal. Have two or three stories ready that you can adapt. Past roles count even if they are not in tech. Operations management, running kitchens, leading crews, all of it translate in some way or short shape or form. Um, and then, recovery, that is also a skill. If you bomb a question, how you respond matter more than the bomb. I don't know off the top of my head, but here's how I'd approach finding the answer, is a strong answer rather than freezing and going silent. One of the things I always like to tell people is, if I don't know, if I clearly don't know everything. So if you come to me with something and I don't know the answer, I'm not going to pretend to know. I'm not going to feed you some lie and like act like I know what's going on. I'm going to give you the, hey, I really don't know that answer off the top of my head, but let me see what I can find, and I will absolutely get back to you. You know, if it's that sort of situation, obviously you don't want to say that in the middle of an interview. I'll get back to you on that. But like thinking of a better way to tell them like, it's a better way of saying I don't know, but I'm willing to work hard and find out, And I think that definitely shows tenacity. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, let's see. Something I always noticed, and I don't think it's a sign of weakness, is being able to take a nice, good, deep breath before responding. It doesn't show that you're scared. It shows that one might be trying to calm your nerves, or two, you're just thoroughly thinking about how you want to respond. Because this, yes, this is should be treated almost like a casual conversation, but at the same time, it's not. Because you want to be memorable to this person, and your answers do matter. So taking that moment to gather your thoughts and to really respond in a much more fashionable way, I think really goes the distance and can also help you get into a place where you can speak more clearly and calm down, like the 6-6 method, 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. And that's something you can even practice while they are asking their questions or start talking to you, taking those breaths, counting them, and then being ready to respond. Uh, yeah, yeah, I mean, I'm not. There's definitely box breathing. I don't know what the sixth breath is called. It's just one that I picked up for like just longer, deeper, slower breaths. It's just to calm you down more rather than settle nerves, I guess. Yeah, and it just yeah, you don't want to look like you're about to give birth in the interview, like, you know. I swear I'm okay. Just one sec. um, but yeah, no, I mean, other than that, I would say, when and also when you're working like talking about coding, brute force, force the problem. Who cares if it's slow? Because from there, then you can be like, okay, so now that I have this here, this is how I would optimize it. I used a for loop right here, but we can hash map this, no problem. No problem at all. And this is how I would do it. And showing them the different ways, will definitely um, the different ways that your brain works and that you know how to follow the development flow will definitely keep them on your side as well. Because like a lot of them know that we're coming out of school, we don't know everything, so they want to make sure that you know the fundamentals and that you're willing to fight and learn to solve these problems. You're not just going to roll over when it comes up. Um, that being said, we will be moving to recruit or be recruited, or recruit and be recruited. Um, with a quick recap, this one's a little different. It's a community feature, not just a topic. Right now, everyone in this room is either building something, trying to build something, or has skills that someone else could use. Portfolio projects are more compelling with collaborators. You learn faster building with someone than reading about it alone. And honestly, working on something together is one of the most natural ways to actually network because it's not awkward. You're just building. So here's what I want to do with you guys. If you're working on a project and want a collaborator, definitely, speak up. I know that I'm going to need another developer. Um, so if you guys, have any skills that you would want to start trying to apply that are front end, back end, design, whatever, make sure that you guys are speaking up because there's a lot of people that, are in this channel and it will keep growing and, this is a great way to network, not just, come in for a quick lesson. This is a great way to start building projects and get your name out there. Um, no pressure though, so but as long as we can get, a couple people connecting, that's absolutely a win. I know like Haru's already recruited a couple people from here, myself included, so same with Zaya. Uh, I have to agree with you. I don't know why, but I really enjoy doing front end. I think it's just because it's something tangible that you can see. And I've always been one of those people with even all of my past jobs, like, leading kitchens and restaurants and things like that, being able to see the product that you're making, the reactions on the customers' faces as they use it or eat it and things like that. And, um, even, from lifeguarding to landscaping, just being able to see the work that you do rather than just, all that back end stuff. It's fun, but it's not as fun as the front end, in my opinion. So I agree. It'll get more fun one day. I'm being optimistic. um, I mean, coders are designers in some shape or form. We're just not. You guys are like, you guys are in the Olympics as UI UX designers. We're down here in the pros. Like, we aspire to be up there, but we ain't there yet. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, so come again. What was the question in that? Yeah, yeah, what's the question? Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on what you're building, right? You know, if you're building a manageable server and manageable backend that, you know, you guys that you're building from scratch and you want to be managing all of that kind of data, like yes, that's possible and you're able to do it. You just need to make sure, yeah, your security's, you know, down pat, you know, encrypted really means encrypted and things like that. You know, OAuth allows you to keep a lot of that personal data somewhere else on not your servers. So if even if you were to get hacked, you aren't storing, you know, some of that personal data. Like, you know, if they were to use Google or Facebook to sign in, they're contacting those separate clients for the for that auth n, and then it's like, okay, you are who you say you are, so now we're going to give you that auth z, which would be that permissions check, and allow you access into now, you know, that app that you're trying to get access to. And they're going to store all the data somewhere else, but be able to take what they need to allow you to do your thing. You know, does that make sense? Right. Did that answer your question? I guess was what should I said. Heck yeah, no problem, brother. Um, so before we get to game night, we have two more. We're going to start with freelancing advice. I know this was also something that Haru was looking for. So freelancing, we're going to keep this one grounded. This isn't quit your job and go solo advice. This is if you've ever thought about picking up a client, here are what first few steps actually kind of look like. Um, Client onboarding starts before you write a line of code. Scope creep is the number one killer of freelance projects. Before anything, get the requirements in writing. Even a simple Google Doc. What are you building? What's not included? What does done look like? This document protects both of y'all. Um, Rate yourself for the work, not the title. You don't need to be a senior engineer to charge for real work. A landing page is a landing page. A CRUD app is a CRUD app. Price is price by deliverable and timeline, not by imposter syndrome. So, are you able to design what they are wanting? Are you able to deliver it on time? You know, that's these are the key things of any kind of product. You know, anyone that's ever started a restaurant or any other kind of business or store or anything, they all started where we are. They weren't just, you know, senior or pro at anything they were doing. They got into it, they tried, they found out what people liked, and they worked at it. And that's all we're doing over here. The first client is always the hardest. After that, referrals happen. The goal early is less about margin and more about getting something real into your portfolio that has a real client's name attached to it. Again, when you're doing sales, you don't have to worry about um, what is this called? Like copyright infringement issues because you're not stealing images and you're not taking their ideas and trying to sell it off as your own thoughts and your own project. You're taking these ideas and these images and you're taking it right back to the company and saying, "Hey man, this is everything that I've been doing and I just really wanted to take your services and bring elevate it to a whole new level. I did use your photos and logos and things like that because I want you to see what your product would look like with all of these great advancements. Obviously, I'm not going to use this for, my own personal, but, this is for you guys, and then try to sell it that way. Um, yeah, absolutely. I mean, communication and keeping notes of anything is it's kind of what I always like to say. It's like when you're packing for a trip. It's better to have it and not need it than to not have it and need it, right? So creating these separate files and as you start to grow throughout separate projects, you'll start to see what really is needed a majority of the time and what really isn't. And you'll be able to start speeding up your process on getting, all of these ideas and flow work set up. Uh, um, has anyone freelanced or done contract work or even just built something for someone outside of the boot camp? What was it like? What would you have done differently? Anything like that? Mm, that's still kick ass though. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, that's a great point. I'll try to find some like one or two sites through Google, and I'll give them posted in the resource tab. And I'll make sure I add at you when I do. That way you can kind of browse through them. Another great way would be I think I actually already posted a site or two that you can go on, and it has like a bunch of different hackathons, and a couple of them actually have cash prizes should you win. So absolutely make sure that you check through the resource tab. There's some great stuff in there. And if there is anything missing or anything that you don't see that you'd like to see, just let me know and I'll make sure I find that and get it tossed in there for you. Yeah, no problem. So before our game night, we'll do first meeting questions. This one's a bit underrated, and I think a lot of us skip it. What do you actually ask when you're joining a new team or starting a new project? Most people go in trying to impress, fewer people ask the questions that I tell you, whether this is a team you actually want to be on, but both matter. Um, here's something I think are worth. Here are some that I think are worth having. Like one, what does a typical sprint look like here? Or what does a team? How does a team handle technical debt? Um, what's the on-call situation? Or how do discussions get made on the engineering side? Um, what would make someone successful in this role in the first 90 days? Or what's the biggest challenge the team is facing right now? That last one is golden though. It tells you what's real and it shows you that you're thinking beyond the job description and that you're here to solve problems, not just to collect a paycheck. Um, does anyone have a question they swear or they swear by or either for interviews or for the first week on a new team that they like to ask the interviewer as an interviewee or even as vice versa? Go ahead, brother. Like how do you get them to become a client? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, I mean, so it really depends on what you're selling and what kind of connection you have out the gate, right? Um, you know, it also depends on how you are going about getting the client because that starts to open up a whole nother conversation of sales and what is sales. Um, and that's something I could talk about all night. And so maybe that's something that we could also have for another week's discussion. But the shortest answer possible would be um, you need to know your client. You need to be doing all of the research you possibly can before you even go meet this person. There's times where I'd show up to a job site, to, put in a bid, and I would know their favorite donuts and their favorite coffee, or I knew, that their kid just won, their high school football game or something like that. Something small, something tactical that would make you stand out from the rest. And it's really about for not only having a great product, but leaving a great impression. Um, so just doing your research when going in, that is really going to determine how you shape your first question or your first introduction into every meeting. Um, that's probably the best way I could summarize that. Um, mhm. Comments in Discord. Oh, here it is. No, those are absolutely awesome. Those are three that I've heard time and time again through interviews throughout my career. So yeah, no, thank you for bringing those up. Those are awesome. Uh, Anybody have any others before we move to the game? Yeah. What you got for me? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that way you know what you're working with. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, with that last one, uh, sure. Oh, the project you wanted to show? Yeah, yeah, right after the game round. Alrighty. Um, so the game round it's going to be very quick. It's first to defined. In chat wins correctly. So that way, you guys don't have to speak over one another or yell or use soundboards. Some people don't know how to use them. But if you open up the side chat, first one to define it, we got it. And we'll start easy too. Um, yeah, so if you look at where it says meeting room one, there's a little chat bubble next to it, and it says, yeah. So, like I said, we're gonna start easy and then we'll move up. There are a bunch, there are some harder category ones that I know that you guys might not know the answers to, but I did think they were really great to at least have in here. So after we get from a point of knowing, we will get to a point of learning, then we will know them. So next time we have another game night in a couple of weeks, they may or may not be there. Ooh. Um, we're going to get this started. First one, what is a variable? Yeah, that is absolutely one way of summarizing it. Yeah, Brandon just beat you guys to it. It's a named container that holds a value. Yeah, because in order to declare a value, you have to store it in a named container. Yeah. Um, what is an array? That should be an easy, quick one. Yep. List of items or values. Um, what is a component? You should know this one, Aru. I see Masood typing. Yep, Masood got the point. A reusable design element. Alrighty, alrighty. What is a function? I mean, that's um you're not wrong. Yeah, I'll give you the point. I'll give you the point. It's a reusable block of code that runs when called. It's a reusable block of code. Ooh, all right. Everyone who was here last week should know this one. What is API? Very simple response on this one. Uh, that's what it stands for, but what is it? Keys to use AI. Yep. Haru got it. Yep. It's a contract between two pieces of software. So it communicates from one program to another. Yeah, absolutely. She's like, hell yeah. Yeah, that one was the easy one. The contract between two pieces of software. Now, what would be a state? Mm-hmm. So last week was API, REST, and state management. So what is state? Um, do you have an answer, Crimson? I saw you type in. So state, data your app remembers between renders. So that's typically why it's fair. Fair. Well, we'll toss you the point for fun. Otherwise, it goes to the house. Data your app remembers between renders. Like the page rendering appearing. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, homie. Let's see. The next couple are definitely around last week and a little bit of this week. Um, start easy. What is a request and what is a response? So double pointer here. Nope, not not auth C, not auth N. That will be different. Be inbound response would be inbound response would be outbound. Yeah, exactly. Crimson takes the cake on that one. Oh wait. I, I got a better soundboard for that. um so yeah, request asking a server for data or an action, response, the server's answer to that request. Um with that being said, Masoot, what is the difference between auth N and auth Z? Go. You guys should really know this one. I harped on this one last time. What is auth N and what is auth Z? Authorization versus authentication. The suit's running for it. Mm-hmm. Auth N or auth Z. No worries, Star. We're gonna get you right today. There it is. Ding 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 ding. That's another point to Zaya. Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, that was it was last week that we did a lot of that, but we covered it very briefly again today. But yeah, auth N provides identity. Who are you? Auth Z checks permissions. What can you do after that? So a great way to remember it, Star, is yeah, like auth N, like uh auth N. So N like a noun. A noun is a person, place, or thing, right? You're checking to see what that is. So if you like vocabulary, that's one way to think of it, you know. Um, Authentication, you're authentic, that no one else like you, baby. You are one of a kind, authentic. Authorization is going to be permissions. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Exactly, and then authorization, you then get access. It's like getting into the VIP zone. Alrighty. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like when they're putting in their age, that age check is going to uh, well, so you could even go as far as saying the authentication would be checking the user ID, and the authorization would be checking the age. Because the age would be checking against would be a permission check, right? It would say if so and so is above this number, give them permission. Otherwise, kick out. Yeah. So you could take it that far too. Mhm. Yeah, I'll hit you guys with like two more, and then we'll run and then I'll get the video wrapped up, and then that way Brandon can show us the his project that he's working on with Haru. Um, so let's see. What are props? Yeah. Um, yeah, data passed from a parent to a child. Yeah, both the fields or attributes of the object. Yeah. Different ways of saying it. Yeah, properties that you pass to a function. Yeah, absolutely. Just different ways of saying it. Both y'all correct. You guys live together. Shit, you guys can share that point. I don't know. I don't know. uh, no, you guys share one giant keyboard, like in Larger Than Life. Yeah, it's like a double piano, you know. Alrighty, all right, guys. What's a token? I think this is perfect for what we were just covering. The oversized keyboard. You're getting close, Star. You're definitely getting close. All right, I'm gonna give the point to Star, who was pretty close with the security key. Um, it is a string that proves who you are, like a key card. That's all. If you had just said hotel key card, I would have given it to you. That it's like a key card. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Whenever like or like a website that saves your login and things like that, and someone's like, yeah, make sure you clear your cookies. It's to make sure that that login isn't saved on there. Yeah. Yeah, it's a fuck ton, yeah. Yeah. Alrighty, got. I'm gonna hit you guys with actually a quick speed round just to cover four terms that from today. Just I don't want you guys to tell me what they are. I want you to tell me what they stand for. Um, and then I'll just tell you what they mean real quick, so that way we can speed round these four and wrap her up. What is cores? What's a cookie monster? Yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 nice, nice. What is cores? What does cores stand for? What is it unabbreviated? Yeah. So this is a browser security rule that blocks requests made to a different domain than the one serving the page, unless the server explicitly says it's okay. So what does it stand for? CORS. Damn near close. Damn close. Damn close. Hey, puppy dog. Alrighty. Stands for cross origin resource sharing. XSS. What does it stand for? Um, here's XSS. This one is an attack where malicious scripts are injected into a web page and run in other users' browsers, often used to steal cookies or session tokens. XSS. What is this? Puppy. Cite something. I like it. Um, so no one got this one either. Cross-site scripting. Everyone was close, and so was Masood. You both had one of the words. All right, here's a tricky one. MVP. This is the most stripped down version of something that still works and can be shipped to real users to get feedback. MVP. No. Alrighty, this one went from a suit. What you got, Masood? What you got? I believe in you, Masood. Alrighty. So it stands for minimum viable product. Product. Minimum viable product. The most stripped down version of something that still works and can be shipped to real users for feedback. This last one, it's there's no abbreviation for it, but it's something we talked briefly skipped past. Tech debt. This is the cost of choosing a quick or shortcut solution now that you know you'll have to fix later. Like real debt. It accumulates interest the longer you leave it. A lot of companies started having this when AI first came out because they were getting the coders that would just use AI without actually reviewing and managing the code itself. And this in turn created a lot of tech debt with companies because they had to go back and fix all of the things that were wrong, which they had already paid for. So it's literally just lost money and they had to make up for it. So, um, other than that, that was session 5, everybody. Thank you guys again for playing the game, for being here, for really just giving me, you guys as all. It really means a lot to have, these kinds of conversations once a week, especially to, have such amazing people to do it with. People that are generally, interested and wanting to learn more and to just keep pushing their careers. So this is absolutely badass, and I really, really appreciate each and every one of you guys. Um, before we go, of course, we're gonna once I end the video, we're gonna go over Brandon's project and things like that. I want to make sure that if you guys are building projects, that I'm not just putting them on YouTube and things like that for people to see before they're ready. So so I'm gonna wrap this up and then we'll do that. Um, and then of course, if you haven't subscribed on the YouTube channel, if you guys could please, give a quick follow on there. The more we keep boosting that up, I think the faster we'll definitely grow. And we'll maybe even be able to find people outside of the Triple Ten community to make this grow into something more of a networking free for all, which would really, really be badass and could potentially help us get jobs. So if you guys do want in on anything else or know how the YouTube lives that shit works, please let me know and we'll get that figured out. Um, I'll send it to you, but it's the same thing. It's here, I'll type it in the chat right now. It's at the weekly stack. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to share it. Yeah, and and definitely make sure when you guys go to interviews that you tell them that you guys are, doing these weekly calls, that you stay on top of things because they're gonna be like, holy shit, you are at the ground floor of building something unique, and I love that. So, but with that being said, um, other than that, I will see you guys next Tuesday. Keep on building, and that's the end of today's recording. But of course, I'll still be here to chat. So have a great day.